I find that sometimes, if not often, political leadership see conflict at a very rational level. Rationally, there are often very clear and simple solutions to many of the problems that these political leaders face. And yet getting from point A, where things are now, to that solution seems miserably difficult. People then try to think about other rational ways to get from point A to that endpoint. But why aren't we coming to agreement? Why can't we make it there? To me, beneath this rational is emotional and identity-based complication. So the real question is not just rational, but how do we deal with the emotional dimensions to negotiation, and how do we understand and better address these identity-based dimensions to negotiation as well? I would recommend for those involved in the political arena to carefully diagnose not just rational impediments to agreement, but the emotional ones as well. And to take a substantial amount of time to try to think through who are the major stakeholders involved in this negotiation, in this conflict, and what are they feeling? And to look at it from a very deep level, not just what are they feeling today based upon what happened yesterday, but what are the social identities that different groups are holding on to? What are the grievances that they're feeling? What are the strains, the trauma that may be reemerging from 50 years ago or 500 years ago? Take the time to analyze that dimension, because it is affecting everything. It's in fact affecting the entire political decision-making apparatus. If you ignore it, you certainly do so at your peril and at the peril of the entire society, who may have the possibility of moving toward a greater place of peace. Emotions are complicated, and they are certainly complicated in large-scale political or ethno-political conflicts. A framework that Roger Fisher and I developed called the Core Concerns Framework, we found it quite helpful for political leadership and advisors to better understand and think about paths forward in some of these conflicts. The Core Concerns Framework basically says there are 5 human motivations that often get trampled upon in conflict situations. If you are able to design a negotiation process that helps people feel addressed for these basic human needs, all of a sudden they're moving toward agreement rather than away from it. 5 core concerns. First, appreciation. Do people feel heard and understood and valued within the society, or do they feel unheard, devalued, put down? Most conflicts, they feel the latter. What can be done to help people have more voice so that their story, their narrative, feels appreciated? 2 is autonomy, the second of these core concerns. In conflict situations, people often feel that their voice is suppressed. They don't have the freedom to express themselves, to be who they want to be. This is autonomy, and it's constrained. What can be done both in terms of negotiation processes and perhaps even outcomes, agreements, that allows people to feel a greater sense of autonomy, but not at the cost of another group? Third, affiliation. Conflict at the large levels tends to tear at the fabric of human relationships. What can be done in the quiet realm of political conversations and in the ultimate movement of these conversations toward the grassroots and beyond? How do you help build, renew society so that people feel a greater sense of connection, human connection, emotional connection, identity connections? The fourth of these core concerns is status. This is another thing that is often trampled upon in ethno-political conflict. People feel put down in terms of their social status. People who have expertise in issues are treated as a nobody. How do you make negotiation processes and the ultimate outcomes such that people's status feels respected? There's dignity and not indignity in the spirit of their interactions. And the fifth of these core concerns is role. So you're there in a negotiation room as a political negotiator. What role are you playing? Are you playing the role of the problem solver? Are you playing the role of the government advocate? Are you playing the role of the relationship builder? There are any number of roles that you can play in a negotiation. What role is going to be the most helpful in serving your purpose? I'd think about that very carefully before you go to negotiate. So these 5 core concerns, they're complicated in a way. They're simple and complicated. You can use them once again, both at the high level political levels. How do we help people feel that these core concerns are addressed? And you can also use them as you're building the structures of an agreement. How do we ensure that the various constituencies who will be affected by this agreement, their core concerns are addressed as well? The more their concerns are addressed, the more likely you will have a sustainable agreement that everybody is willing to move forward with.